All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Community Focus here on Channel 6 TV. I'm Kenny Fogle, your host. Glad you could be with us tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that all of us have to deal with on occasion is cars. We all have to drive cars, and every now and then one of them breaks down. So got David Wheatley here with us with the Bardstown Auto Wreckers. David, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate it.
And before we get into cars, y'all got a little history there. Y'all been around quite a while, haven't you?
Yeah, my dad he started the operation back in 1953. It's actually at the home place where I live at 1235 Springfield Road. We started out there. We moved from Marion County. And then in the mid-60s, I was going to UK at the time. That's back when Lady Bird and Lyndon Johnson were in the White House.
Yeah.
Lady Bird had a kick about beautifying the whole U.S. And that's when they passed the salvage yard screening law.
I remember that, obviously.
Yeah. Anyway, where we're located at, coming out of Bardstown from McDonald's there's no possible way to screen that if it's down in a little valley.
Yeah.
And so Dad purchased a piece of property at 3205, where we're located at now, down the road there from Walmart a mile.
Yeah.
And we moved out there. It took about a 3-year ordeal to move, but we got our move finally, and we've been there ever since.
Well, the thing about it is used cars, the parts and things of that nature. I mean, back then when he started, I mean, was there much of how many cars were on the road at that time? Was there enough for, I guess at that time, there was enough to start using used parts over again?
Really, when Dad started out, that's where the name of the company came from, Bardstown Auto Wreckers, because we did more towing and recovery and stuff like that back in those days, and it kind of evolved into the parts business. There on site there where we live, we probably had, maybe 200-300 cars maybe at one time.
Yeah.
But then we moved out to the location now. We have anywhere on hand from 800 to 1,000. Yeah, we got quite a few on hand.
Well, the thing about the auto parts business is, and it's fascinated me because I've come to watch you every now and then. It's fascinated me is this: you say you got 800 cars there right now, but in reality, you got thousands. Because I mean, within a matter of minutes, you're on that computer and you got parts from all over the country.
That's correct.
If they're not right there in the yard.
That's called the Eden system. It's right on computer. If a gentleman comes in or a lady comes in wants a part, we don't have it in stock. We can instantly locate it, give them a price, and if they want to order it, we can have it shipped in. Usually have it within 3 to 5 working days, something like that. And we do a lot of Louisville business. There's some big yards there in Louisville. We do a lot of business with them boys, and I'll make 2 trips a week, every Tuesday and Thursday, and take a load of parts and bring a load. So we try to keep things moving around as quickly as possible.
Now I know, again, you're constantly looking for deals, obviously, auctions and different all over the country, not just here locally. You do go to some in person, but obviously, you get some of them in technology now. Technology world, you can reach just about anywhere.
Yes, there's only one actually that you can go in person anymore. It's in Louisville, Kentucky, and out of storage pool over on Poplar Level Road. But it's still, you can bid it on computer. Yeah, there's 2 big outfits, Copart and IAA, and we just bid them once a week. Copart has, I think the last time I looked, they got 160 locations in the U.S., and they've even expanded. They're in England, Ireland, Scotland. They've got one in Australia. And IAA is about the same. They haven't gone foreign yet, but they have I think they got 80 different locations. Yeah. And you just go to the computer, punch in a car that you're looking for, and give a description. They'll come up usually with 2 or 3 pages of them. Yeah. And you pick out the one you want, and you bid it. And if you buy it, you go get it. And if you don't, you go for another one.
So you've been doing this for a number of years now. You probably know most of the parts of a car now, don't you?
I pretty well got them down pat by that, Kenny. I sure do. I've been in it my whole life. I took a little sabbatical back in 1981. Originally, we started out after Dad retired in 1974. Me and my 3 brothers took it over. Hal, he's my youngest brother, and Mike, he's next to me, and myself. Hal wanted to do something different, so he stayed about a year and he got out. And me and Mike stayed together up until 87. And I told him I just wanted to get away. I wanted to break. And so I let him have it, took it over, and then he wanted to break after that. I come back in 87. So I've been back full time since 87, about a little over 30 years.
Yeah, now you got your son in there.
Yeah, I've got my son, 3rd generation. He's trying to take it over, and I think he will one of these days. Yeah. Just got to get a little more experience and just learn the business.
Well, the auto parts business, like I said, a lot of people go out and they'll buy new parts, but Usually you can get them out. I know I just got a tail light from you here a few weeks ago, and it was a whole lot cheaper getting it from you than it was getting it. Because the first stuff I thought of was when I broke my tail light, go see how much it costs. Well, I stopped by your place and I got it for half price, so I was I'm glad I remembered to do that.
Yeah, we can usually save you a whole bunch of money on a lot of stuff. Usually you can figure about half price of new most of the time on about any part.
Well, when you speak of parts, so is there any particular part that's harder to get than others, or is there just you just never know?
Kenny, there's so many different kind of vehicles out there anymore.
Yeah,
it's really hard to keep a real good inventory in stock, even though we've got, say, 1,000 cars on hand. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you, if it hadn't been for this computer system, and we call it Eden, on this parts locating service, there's not really enough retail customers here in Bardstown area to support our business.
Yeah.
And that Eden deal makes it where we can do it. If we don't have it, we can locate it for you, get it, have it shipped in.
Now the process, I say, where somebody has a car wreck, and I know you do purchase cars that have been wrecked sometime, and so you take the parts that you can't use, toss them, and then sell the parts you can.
Right, exactly. Generally, we get a vehicle in, we'll try to process it, we'll inventory it, put the inventory on the computer, and I've got a manual inventory system also.
Yeah.
And the good parts we'll put on there that's good, the bad parts we won't. We generally sell a motor, transmission, rear end, a big hard part of it at first.
Yeah.
And then we'll just take the hull down in the field and just park it. And after it sits there for anywhere from 1 to 3 years, depending on what you sell off of it. Once you don't, we'll send it to the crusher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stay there forever.
No. We turn them over. Yeah, people come in all the time and they look for the old car parts, the old 57 Chevys and all that kind of stuff. Man, said, why do you keep all those old cars? I said, if we had them now, they'd be rust buckets.
Yeah, not only that, you'd be stacked about 2 miles high, you wouldn't be able to find them.
That's exactly right.
So you pretty much, the business is going fairly, I mean, pretty brisk right now?
It's a good business. It's changed a lot over the last 15, 20 years. When I came back in 87 to restart again, I would say our retail walk-in customer was about 75% as opposed to 25% wholesale or to other dealers.
Yeah.
And in the last 10 years, it's just gone just the opposite. I'd say right now we do 90% I call wholesale or to other dealers, 10% retail.
Yeah.
These old cars have got so complicated, people can't work on them anymore.
Yeah, well, they've
got computers on them, they got power this, they got power that, and when something malfunctions, you just don't have the expertise to go in there and repair it yourself. You got to have somebody else do it.
So if your dad, Ben Wheatley, walked back in the store today, would he recognize it?
No. I can remember when he used to come out to shop and loaf around in his older days. He'd come in, we had the computers back in. He said, man, I don't see how y'all do it. Of course, he's used to just keeping these buying. I mean, back then we didn't even have inventory systems. Matter of fact, when I was going to college, I initiated our first inventory system, a manual inventory system.
Yeah.
And we just had them on cards to put the vehicle down, the good parts, the bad parts, and that way we could go to it real quick without having to go down the field, look, and come back.
Yeah.
It made it really handy, the inventory system has.
Well, that's
really
great. Like I said, you located about a mile or so out of town. You know, if somebody's coming out of Lebanon or Springfield, they're going to pass right by it on their way to Bardstown. So Bardstown Auto Wreckers, but that goes back to an old. You did have a wrecker back here.
That's correct. Yeah, that's all we did when Dad first started. Really, I mean, he'd get parts cars in, from wrecks and buy them. Just very, very few. But he done, excuse me, primarily wrecker service.
Yeah.
That's what we done back then.
Somebody just stop in right now, or give you a call, whatever, and try to find out if there's a part. And 9 times out of 10, unless the car is 40 years old, you're going to find the part for it.
Exactly. We find a few old parts every now and then. Not real often, but every now and then.
So, like I said, it's a nationwide network that if you can't find out, I don't know where my tail light come from. I know I talked to Philip, and he said, I'll make a phone call or two, and 2 days later he called me up, and there it was. So it's hard to tell where it come from, but I got a tail light, and that's all that matters.
I think the fellow from Tompkinsville we deal with, I think he brought it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Well, that's good. So it's traveled more than I have.
Yeah, we got Kentucky network. There's a lot of boys that we try to do locally with. Makes it a whole lot easier, more convenient. But hell, we can go. We shipped a engine the other day to Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
A little old Nissan Frontier motor. They're pretty hard to find.
Yeah.
A guy called up and we made a deal on the phone and put it on a freight truck and it's gone to Houston.
Well, like I said, it's a business you don't think about until you need it, but,
That's exactly
but it's
right.
there. And again, as opposed to going buying new parts, I mean, you all generally sell a pretty good deal. And like I said,
Oh, yeah.
most of the parts are in very workable, usable condition.
Oh, yeah, I mean, most of these cars we buy are wrecks from insurance companies, excuse me, and they were running down the road when they were wrecked, so pretty much everything's gonna be good on them.
Yeah. So again, so if somebody wants to stop by Bardstown Auto Wreckers just outside of Bardstown on Springfield Road, US 150, give them a call or stop in. What's the phone number there?
It's, of course, area code 502-348-8613. We're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I've got a cell phone too. You can also call. It's 502-507-8613 after hours, and we'll make a deal.
All right, Bardstown Auto Wreckers, David Wheatley here. David, appreciate you showing up today.
Thank you,
I know
Kenny.
you're a busy man.
Nice talking to you.
But it's a nice start, and every time, and I know when I stop in to see you, we'll have something done, a good conversation.
We tried anytime.
All right, thanks a lot.
All righty, Kenny.
Y'all stick around, a lot more to come here on Channel 6 TV with Community Focus. We got a lot more coming your way. I'll be right back.